Hello again, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is John. I'm a full-time eBay reseller based in Melbourne, Australia. For those of you who have patiently waited for this video, thank you so much for allowing me time to recover from my cough and cold. I'm back, and of all the things that I want to talk about on this first video back, the one at the top was about our posture towards our buyers. The best way to illustrate that is the relationship between grown-ups and kids, because there's quite a gap between them, right? So if you're the kind of grown-up that thinks kids are amazing, they're full of potential, they are wonderful, then whenever a kid comes to you with a query, with a behavior, you approach it with a sense of wonder. You go, ooh, why are you doing that? You'll ask them more questions, try and guide them along to hope that they can close that gap between them and you. You also leave a bit of space to be amazed because, I never thought of doing that before. I've never thought of mixing those two flavors together. Kids mix flavors all the time, right? So that's one posture. On the other end of the spectrum, you've got parents who think that kids are a waste of oxygen. They think that they're a waste of time. Some of them think that, you know what, my job is to feed you and clothe you, and beyond that, my job's done. And so then when kids bring to them questions and they want to learn more, parents just go, yeah, whatever, go YouTube it, or just go ask your mom or ask your dad, or go and just dismiss, very dismissive type behavior. I see that a lot with sellers and buyers. And I want to ask you what your posture is towards your buyers. Are you filled with wonder, curiosity about your buyer, or are you someone who dismisses your buyer? Over the last week or so, I have noticed that with the pressure of shipping times building up because Christmas is coming soon, everyone's heading to the same deadline, right? All buyers, all sellers, that deadline's coming for us. Kind of like death in Texas, right? The Christmas deadline is that. And I'm noticing that there are sellers who will hide behind their rules. They will come to the forums and they will say things like, surely after 90 days, like they can't ask me for anything anymore. And then other sellers will say, yeah, it's too long. They shouldn't have any right to claim anything. You shouldn't have to help your buyers after 90 days. But then there are also other sellers who continue to help their buyers because they know that could lead, doesn't always, but it could lead to repeat purchasing. That is retention behavior. What if I told you that buying on eBay, there's nothing special about it? There's nothing special about the products you sell. It's reselling after all. You can sell what I sell, I can sell what you sell. The only thing that differentiates you from the next seller is not price, it's not product, it's you. Your brand, if you will. You can call yourself Marie Jones's Vintage Collectibles. That means nothing to the buyer. You can call yourself Fancy Pansy's Party Supplies. Means nothing to the buyer unless there is a behavior that they experience from you, the seller, or your staff, if you've trained them accordingly. So when a buyer asks a question, it could be something as simple as, what's the size of this item? Can I see another picture? Can I haven't received my item yet. No. Could you help me follow it up? If you think that simply telling them, yeah, go talk to Australia Post, or the photos we've taken the photos already, please consult the photos. If you're not trying to be helpful, all that dismissive behavior forms part of your brand. But if you're willing to take the time to give them a second photo, if you're willing to help them to chase up a missing item, that helpfulness gets linked to your brand. Suddenly Marie Jones's Vintage Collectibles is a helpful seller. Or Fancy Pansy's Party Supplies is a dismissive seller. And heading into Christmas with this deadline, I'm starting to see that posture show because it's the autopilot, right? And that's my challenge to you. Which one do you want to be? Do you want to build a brand that is helpful? That through this pressure cooker of Christmas, your buyers remember you as a helpful seller? Or do you want to be a seller that people buy from you because they had to buy from you, but never again? Like if I didn't have to, if I could get it anywhere else, I would have gone somewhere else. But I'm only buying it here because you had it in stock when I needed it. If that's what you're banking on, that's a shitty way to grow your business. So, or grow at all. I had the pleasure of dealing with two different sellers this week. One who had really bad feedback and didn't know whether the feedback was valid or not because they thought they did the right thing. Turns out there was a glitch, but I encouraged the seller to go and reach out to the buyer and say, hey, did you make a mistake? Hi, I sent it to this address that you said I didn't. I was wondering if there was a mistake and maybe you were referring to a different order. They then said, no, you actually did screw up, but they were very rude about it. And then eBay confirmed that there was a glitch in the address. So it was neither their fault nor the buyer's fault. And eBay rectified it, removed the feedback. And then I said, I'm really glad that you actually asked and found out, instead of assuming that the buyer was angry and being intimidated by that and going, yeah, this person is unreasonable, I'm not going to deal with them anymore. Always ask. There's nothing wrong with asking, because if you ask, you will find out what kind of person you're dealing with on the other end. Conversely, there was another seller who had sold two items, one of which, the second one arrived, positive feedback was received, but the first one wasn't received, and the buyer only realized I think 3 months later. And then they asked, hey, I haven't received my item. At which point the seller went, well, it's past 3 months, can't help you there, go talk to Australia Post, which was dismissive. And then the buyer went, great, thanks for your help. That was it. And it was over a $10 item, which blew my mind, because it's so hard to retain a buyer on eBay when eBay tries to present the buyer who pays the most promoted listings or the buyer who has the lowest price. And when you have someone already buying from you and they had a positive experience the second time and they just forgot about the first time not having received the item, if they would deal with you again if it's positive. But instead you showed them the door over $10. But then this person said it's a matter of principle, you see, because if they had brought it up within the first month of not receiving it, I would have sent a replacement. But because 3 months is too long, on principle, I'm not doing it. Okay. Here's the thing. You have to compare the rules you set on eBay with the rules that buyers experience in real life everywhere. I like to use IKEA as an example because IKEA has a 365-day return policy. Because they stand by their product and their service, and they know that if you are able to return an item within a year, you will continue to shop there. You will never return everything, but for the little bits that you return, you continue to furnish your house with IKEA. That's the kind of retention that I want as a brand. That's the kind of retention I want for you as a brand. That despite all the options and all the gimmicks and all the different exposure methods that a platform gives you, promoted listings, advanced, promoted listings, standard, coupons, site-wide markdowns. You know what buyer doesn't see that? A repeat buyer. If a buyer likes dealing with you, they're not going to bother trying to make sense of whether if I buy two, I'll get one free. They just come to you. At which point, your impressions and your conversion, all that kind of stuff, all that doesn't matter anymore because they just save your store and all they do is look for your store because they know when I buy from you, if it's within my range that I'm willing to pay for, I will deal with you and it will go smoothly. That's the goal, right? So yes, heading into this Christmas period, there's 1 more month to go. Please consider being a helpful buyer, helpful seller, not a dismissive seller. Yes, there are rules you can stand behind, but really, what good is it doing you? Surprise, surprise, the sellers that I've been in contact with in this camp, this dismissive camp, all small sellers. All sellers that have no desire to grow, or they think they know what they're doing to grow, but they are not growing. Sellers in this camp, all of them, making strides. Whenever there's an uptick, they ride the uptick as well. And then they keep the momentum. So, be a helpful seller. Yeah, it's a bit of a full-on topic for first video back, but it's no nice way of putting it. You can spend all your money and all your time trying to get a new buyer, or you can just be nice, bend the rules with discernment, and retain your buyers who are happy with you. So yeah, be a helpful seller. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.